Jake Morrison sat in the large classroom of the Galactic Exchange Academy. The room was huge, with seats made for all shapes and sizes of alien bodies. He looked around at his classmates. There were beings with tentacles, others with multiple eyes, and some that looked like walking crystals. Jake felt pretty normal compared to them. Next to him sat Maria Santos, another human student. They had met on the shuttle to the station and quickly became friends. Being the only humans in their class made them stick together. The door opened and their instructor entered. Zixtar was a crystalline being, about 8 feet tall with 4 arms. His body made soft chiming sounds as he walked. All the alien students sat up straight and paid attention. "Welcome, young beings, to survival in dangerous environments," Zixtar announced. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "This course is mandatory for all species, but especially important for our more delicate friends." Jake and Maria looked at each other, confused. Delicate? They were humans. Humans who had survived on Earth for thousands of years. "Now," Zixtar continued, "we understand that some species come from safer worlds than others. That is why this course exists." He looked directly at Jake and Maria. "Humans, for example, need special protection. Your bones are so fragile, your skin so thin. We must teach you how to survive in the galaxy's harsh environments," Maria whispered to Jake. "Earth is literally classified as a death world." "What are they talking about?" Jake whispered back. "I have no idea. I grew up in Alaska. It gets to -50 degrees in winter." A student behind them gasped. Cathera, an insect-like being with a fragile exoskeleton, had overheard. "-50? How did you survive?" "We wear coats," Jake said simply. More gasps came from around the room. The student seemed shocked. Zixtar held up one of his 4 hands for attention. "Please let us begin. Today we will cover the basics. Gravity changes, pressure differences, and temperature variations." He activated a holographic display. It showed different planets with various conditions. "This planet," he pointed to one, "has gravity that is 1.2 times your standard. Most species would need gravity dampeners to walk comfortably." Jake raised his hand. "Excuse me, but Earth's gravity is already our standard, and many of us train in higher gravity conditions." "Impossible," Zixtar said. "Humans are from a low-gravity world." "No, sir," Maria said politely. "Earth has 1G gravity, it's our standard." The room went quiet. Other students looked worried. Grimok, a fungal being who moved very slowly, spoke up. "But humans are so weak. Everyone knows this." "Weak?" Jake asked. "We run marathons, we lift weights, we do sports." "You engage in voluntary physical stress?" Cathara asked, sounding horrified. "Why would you hurt yourselves?" "It's fun," Maria said. "It makes us stronger." Zixtar cleared his throat with a sound like breaking glass. "Let us continue. Temperature variations. This planet experiences changes of 20 degrees in a day. Most species would need climate suits." Jake laughed before he could stop himself. "Sorry, but my hometown in Alaska can change 40 degrees in a day. No special suit needed." "40 degrees?" Zixtar asked. "Celsius or Fahrenheit?" "Fahrenheit," Jake said. More gasps. Several alien students looked faint. "In Arizona, where I'm from," Maria added, "it can be over 120 degrees Fahrenheit in summer." A small alien near the front desk fell out of its chair. "Atmospheric pressure," Zixtar continued, his voice shaking slightly. "Humans require exact pressure to survive. Too high or too low and they will die instantly." "Actually," Jake said, "humans live from sea level to mountain towns at high altitude. The pressure change is pretty big." "We have people living in Denver," Maria said. "That's a mile above sea level. Pilots fly even higher without pressure suits. For short periods." Zixtar's crystalline face showed confusion. "But the galactic medical texts say humans are fragile, that you need protection from almost everything." "Who wrote those texts?" Jake asked. "The Galactic Medical Council, of course." "Have they ever been to Earth?" Maria asked. "Of course not. Earth is a restricted death world, far too dangerous for civilized species." Jake and Maria looked at each other again. Now things were starting to make sense. Sir, Jake said slowly, what exactly do you consider a dangerous environment? Zixtar activated another hologram. This simulation represents extreme conditions: gravity at 1.1 times standard, temperature at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, oxygen at 18% with obstacles to navigate. The two humans stared at the display. That's pretty normal, Maria said. Normal? Several aliens shouted at once. Yeah, Jake said. That sounds like a nice day in Colorado. Zixtar's four hands trembled. Young humans, I think you misunderstand the severity. No, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Maria interrupted gently. Maybe you should look up Earth's actual environmental conditions before teaching us about survival. The crystalline instructor paused. Perhaps I should. But for now, we will proceed with the basic training. Tomorrow we have our first practical exercise in the holodeck. What kind of exercise? Jake asked. We will simulate a low-gravity environment with simple obstacles, nothing too dangerous for your delicate human physiology. Jake and Maria exchanged another look. This was going to be interesting. After class, the other students gathered around them. Is it true you live with temperature changes? Cathara asked nervously. Every day, Maria said. And you exercise for fun? Grimok added. Sure, Jake said. We play basketball, go hiking, swim in oceans with waves. Waves? Several aliens asked together. You know, moving water, sometimes 10 feet high. Half the class fainted. As Jake and Maria left the classroom, they could hear Zixtar frantically accessing Earth's environmental database. His shocked chiming followed them down the hallway. Tomorrow's practical exercise should be fun, Jake said with a grin. Yeah, Maria agreed. I'm curious to see what they consider dangerous obstacles. Behind them, more shocked chiming echoed through the halls as Zixtar discovered the truth about Earth's environment. The humans just walked on, completely unaware of how much they were about to change everyone's understanding of what it meant to be fragile. 2 days later, the class gathered in the advanced training facility. Word had spread about the humans' performance, and now other instructors were watching from observation windows. Zixtar looked even more tired than before. He had spent all his free time studying Earth's environment. The results had shocked him deeply. Today we will simulate a real emergency, he announced. A spaceship disaster. Life support is failing. You must evacuate before conditions become lethal. The holodeck transformed into a damaged spaceship interior. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and steam hissed from broken pipes. The scenario: oxygen levels will decrease by 20% every 2 minutes. Gravity will fluctuate randomly between 0.5 and 1.5 Earth normal. Temperature will drop by 5 degrees every minute. You must reach the escape pods. The alien students immediately panicked. Cathara's antennae twitched frantically. Grimok's spores released stress hormones. Others were already reaching for emergency breathing gear. Jake and Maria quickly assessed the situation. Okay, everyone listen up, Maria called out loudly. Form groups of 3. Larger students pair with smaller ones for stability during gravity shifts. But humans, Cathara protested. Shouldn't you get your own breathing gear first? We're fine for now, Jake said. Let's get everyone organized. The simulation began. Oxygen levels dropped to 17% immediately. Several aliens began gasping. Slow, steady breaths, Maria instructed, demonstrating. Panicking uses more oxygen. Jake moved through the groups. Remember, humans live at high altitudes regularly. 17% oxygen isn't that different from mountain air. Gravity suddenly shifted to 1.5x normal. Most aliens stumbled or fell. Bend your knees, Jake showed them. Move slowly but deliberately. A pipe burst overhead, spraying hot steam. Aliens screamed and scattered. Stay calm, Maria shouted. We've dealt with worse. Follow me. She led them around the hazard. Her eyes watered from the heat, but she kept moving. The temperature dropped to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Many aliens began shivering violently. Group together for warmth, Jake instructed. Share body heat. It's basic survival. But we're so different, another student whined. Doesn't matter in an emergency, Maria said. Everyone huddles together. Halfway through the course, the lights went out completely. Total darkness. Alien. Students screamed, "Stay calm." Jake's voice cut through the panic. "Use sound to navigate. Call out your positions." "I'm by the damaged console," Maria called. "I've got the wall," Jake responded. Soon, a chain of voices formed, guiding everyone through the darkness. "Humans," Zixtar's voice came over the intercom. "How are you navigating without light?" "Practice in caves," Jake called back, "and being stuck in snowstorms." "We learn to use all our senses," Maria added. When emergency lighting finally flickered back on, they saw the aliens had formed a human chain, led by Jake and Maria. "Next challenge," the computer announced. "Partial gravity failure, 0 G in 30 seconds. "Oh no," several aliens groaned. "Grab onto something fixed," Maria instructed. "Use the walls to push off. Small movements." The gravity cut out. Bodies floated. Some aliens flailed helplessly. Jake and Maria moved smoothly through 0 G, reaching struggling students. "How do you do that?" Cathara asked as Jake steadied her. "Ever been on a trampoline?" he asked. "It's similar. Control your movements." They guided aliens through the 0 G section, teaching them basic movement techniques. With 10 minutes left, they reached the final obstacle. A sealed door blocked their path to the escape pods. "Manual override required," the computer announced. "Someone must stay behind to open it." The room went silent. Every alien looked terrified. "I'll do it," Jake said immediately. "No," Zixtar's voice boomed. "The scenario requires whoever stays faces certain death when life support fails completely." "That's fine," Maria said. "We can handle that." "What do you mean we?" Jake asked. "I'm staying too. We'll figure something out. But you'll die." "Cathara," Jake grinned. "Maybe. But we've been in worse spots." "You have?" Grimok asked. "Ever been caught in an avalanche?" Maria asked casually. "Or a flash flood?" The aliens stared in horror. "We'll be fine," Jake assured them. "Get to the pods. That's an order." They began working on the door controls while the alien students reluctantly moved toward the escape pods. "How long can humans hold their breath?" Zixtar asked over the intercom. "Depends," Maria answered, pulling panels off the door. "Average person? Maybe a minute. Trained swimmers? Several minutes. Free divers can go over 20 minutes, Jake added, rewiring circuits. 20 minutes? The instructor's voice cracked. "Sure. It's a sport back home." They worked quickly, ignoring the dropping temperatures and depleting oxygen. "Got it," Maria shouted. The door opened, but instead of going through, Jake turned back. "Everyone out safe?" "Yes, but there's no time left," Cathara called from the escape pods. "Go, we'll find another way." Jake and Maria watched the escape pods launch. Then they calmly walked to a supply cabinet. "Emergency spacesuits," Maria said, pulling them out. "Every ship has them somewhere." "Cutting it a bit close," Jake commented as they put them on. "Just like that survival course in Colorado," Maria replied. They activated their suits just as the simulation ended. The holodeck powered down. The alien students floated in the escape pod area, staring back at the humans. Zixtar emerged from the observation booth. All 4 of his arms were shaking. You stayed behind, in a lethal situation. Voluntarily. Someone had to," Jake said simply, "and we knew we could handle it." "Handle it?" The instructor's voice was high-pitched. "You found emergency suits, in a scenario designed to have none." "There are always options," Maria said. "You just have to think creatively." The alien students floated over, looking at the humans with newfound respect. "Would you really have stayed?" Cathara asked. "Even knowing you might die?" "Sometimes you have to take risks to save others," Jake said. "But why? We're not even your species." "Doesn't matter," Maria replied. "You're our classmates, our friends." Zixtar sat down heavily. "I planned this simulation to fail. No species has ever completed it without casualties in the final phase." "First time for everything," Jake said with a smile. Young humans, the instructor said slowly. I need to completely revise our entire curriculum. Nothing I thought I knew about your species is accurate. Happy to help, Maria offered. Could you show us more about surviving emergencies? Sure, though honestly most of what we did was basic stuff. Basic? Several voices chorused in disbelief. Yeah, stay calm, work together, think creatively. Pretty standard. Zixtar's 4 hands covered his face. I've been teaching survival for decades and you're telling me I missed the basics. Different species adapt differently, Jake said kindly. You've done well teaching your students. We just learned different skills growing up. On a death world, Grimok added quietly. Right, where surviving is just part of daily life. The other instructors who had been watching came over. They all looked stunned. We need to study human survival, methods, one said. And revise galactic safety standards, another added. Maybe start with a documentary about Earth, Maria suggested. We tried, Zixtar said weakly. All the footage traumatized our review board. They couldn't finish watching. Just the nature. Documentaries? Jake asked. You mean there's worse? The humans looked at each other and started laughing. Wait until you see extreme sports, Maria said, or military training videos. Half the alien instructors fainted. Maybe we'll save those for later, Jake said diplomatically. As everyone filed out, the alien students gathered around Jake and Maria. Will you teach us more? Cathara asked eagerly. Of course, Maria said. Could you show us your workout routines? And how to stay calm in emergencies? And how to find solutions when it seems impossible? The humans smiled at their eager classmates. Sure. But remember, we're not special. We just grew up somewhere that taught us to be resourceful. Somewhere. Deadly, Grimok added. Everywhere's deadly if you're not careful, Jake said philosophically. Behind them, Zixtar was already calling an emergency faculty meeting to discuss completely restructuring the survival curriculum. The day humans were supposed to learn about survival had turned into the day aliens learned what true resilience looked like. A week later, the entire Galactic Exchange Academy buzzed with anticipation. Word had spread about the final examination in survival in dangerous environments. Every alien species had failed this test historically. Now, with 2 humans in the class, everyone wanted to see what would happen. Jake and Maria arrived at the testing arena to find it packed with spectators. Not just students, but faculty, administrators, and even some visiting dignitaries from various worlds. Attention all students, Zixtar announced. His voice had a hollow quality like he hadn't slept in days. Today is your final examination. You must survive 5 extreme environments, 10 minutes each. Passing requires completing all 5 without requiring medical intervention. The holodeck displayed 5 different scenes. Stage 1, toxic atmosphere. 20% Earth normal pressure, poisonous gases present. Stage 2, high gravity, 1.5 times Earth normal. Stage 3, extreme heat, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Stage 4, extreme cold, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Stage 5, combined stressors, all previous conditions plus additional challenges. The alien students looked terrified. Most had already donned full environmental suits. Some had brought personal medical teams. Jake wore a t-shirt and jeans. Maria had on shorts and a tank top. Students may use any protective equipment they choose, Zixtar continued. However, the less equipment used, the higher the grade. Full protective gear caps your score at 60%. The aliens began grabbing more equipment. Jake and Maria exchanged glances. Should we use any gear? Maria whispered. Nah. Let's see. How it goes, Jake replied. Humans. Zixtar called urgently. You must take protective equipment. We're good, sir, Jake said. This is not a negotiation. You will die without protection. Well, Maria said reasonably. If we die, we die. But we'd like to try. The instructor's crystal face somehow managed to look pained. Very well. All students, report to Stage 1. Stage 1 began. The atmosphere changed, becoming thin and filled with greenish gas. The alien students immediately activated air scrubbers and pressurization systems. Jake and Maria took deep breaths and held them. "How long can you hold your breath?" a spectator called out. "Let's find out," Jake replied, speaking between controlled breaths. They moved through the obstacle course, occasionally taking small, careful breaths. "You're breathing the poison air," Cathara shouted through her full face mask. "Just a little," Maria said calmly. "Small doses let our bodies adapt. That's insane." "That's how you build tolerance," Jake explained. All the alien students needed full protective gear just to stand upright. Most were already showing signs of stress. Jake and Maria completed the course looking slightly flushed but otherwise fine. Stage 2, Zixtar called. The gravity increased to 1.5x normal. Aliens crashed to the ground. Emergency crews rushed in to help several students to medical bays. Jake and Maria barely slowed down. "It's like wearing a heavy backpack," Maria commented, doing jumping jacks. "Want to try some push-ups?" Jake suggested. They did 20 push-ups while aliens struggled to remain conscious. "How?" Gromok gasped through his support systems. "Weight training," Jake said between exercises. "And our planet already has heavy gravity for galactic standards." More alien students collapsed. The medical teams were overwhelmed. Stage 3, the computer announced. Temperature soared to 110 degrees. The arena filled with the sounds of cooling units working at maximum capacity. Jake and Maria simply rolled up their sleeves. "Arizona summer," Maria said nostalgically. "Feels like home." They completed the obstacle course while most aliens required emergency cooling treatments. "This is impossible," one instructor muttered from the viewing area. Stage 4. The temperature plummeted to 30 degrees. Ice formed on surfaces. Aliens began triggering hypothermia protocols. Jake unzipped his jacket slightly. Bit nippy, like a cool autumn day in Alaska. "Want to go faster to warm up?" Maria suggested. They jogged through the course. Most aliens couldn't even move, bundled in thermal gear and heating units. Only 5 aliens remained conscious by this point. The rest were being treated for various conditions. Final stage. Zixtar's voice was barely audible over the medical emergency. The holodeck combined all previous challenges and added spinning gravity wells, electrical discharges, and random pressure changes. The remaining aliens immediately collapsed. Medical team swarmed the arena. Jake and Maria looked at each other. "Now this," Jake said approvingly, "is more like it." They navigated through the chaos. Jake grabbed a falling alien student and carried him to safety. Maria steadied another through a gravity fluctuation. "You're supposed to save yourselves," Zixtar shouted. "Can't leave them behind," Maria called back, supporting a third student. They guided the last conscious aliens through the remaining course, ensuring everyone survived the final stage. When the simulation ended, Jake and Maria were the only students still standing on their own. The arena was silent except for medical equipment and the heavy breathing of alien students. "In 30 years of giving this test," Zixtar said slowly, "no student has ever passed more than 2 stages without protective gear. The record was 3 stages with full equipment." "What about now?" Jake asked. "You both completed all 5 stages using no equipment, and you rescued other students during the final stage." The gathered spectators began a slow applause that grew into thunderous approval. "Furthermore," Zixtar continued, "your vital signs showed minimal stress, slightly elevated heart rates during exertion, minor temperature fluctuations, but nothing indicating distress." "It wasn't that bad," Maria said honestly. "Not that bad?" Cathara asked weakly from a medical gurney. "The final stage killed 3 of our best athletes in simulations." "Well," Jake said thoughtfully, "it was definitely the hardest challenge yet. Good workout." "Workout?" Multiple aliens repeated in disbelief. "Young humans," Zixtar said formally. "You have achieved the highest scores ever recorded on this examination. Congratulations." "Thanks," they said together. "I have a question," another instructor called out. "What do you consider truly dangerous?" Jake and Maria looked at each other. "I guess," Jake said slowly. It depends on preparation and experience. These tests were challenging, but nothing we hadn't trained for on Earth. You train for toxic air? Someone asked incredulously. High-altitude mountaineering, scuba diving, industrial work? Maria listed. Humans do lots of stuff in bad air. The high gravity? Athletes train in stronger gravity all the time. It makes you perform better in normal gravity. The extreme heat? Death Valley, Arizona, Africa. People live in these places. The cold? Alaska, Siberia, Antarctica. Again, people live there. But, altogether, that's just space travel, Jake said simply. Astronauts deal with this stuff regularly. The assembled aliens stared in shock. One of the visiting dignitaries stood up. I move to request a complete revision of our survival curriculum, and possibly our entire understanding of human physiology. Motion seconded. Multiple voices called. Out. Young humans, Zixtar said. Would you be willing to consult on developing new training methods? Sure, Maria said. Though honestly, we just did what came naturally. That's exactly the problem, the instructor replied. What comes naturally to you is beyond our comprehension. As the medical teams helped alien students recover, the humans stood talking casually with faculty about training techniques from Earth. We should organize cultural exchange sessions, Jake suggested. Let everyone see videos from Earth. Help them understand our environment better. Excellent idea, Zixtar agreed. Though we may need to show them in small doses. Last time, our research team watched Earth nature documentaries. Half of them needed therapy. The next day, Jake and Maria arrived at the Academy's training holodeck. It was a massive room that could create any environment imaginable. Other students were already there, many wearing protective gear. Cathara had on a full environmental suit, with extra padding. Grimak was encased in a mobile life support pod. Even some of the larger, stronger-looking aliens wore respirators and gravity dampeners. Good morning, class, Zixtar announced. He had spent the night researching Earth and looked tired. His usually bright crystal surface was dimmer. Today we will practice basic survival skills in challenging conditions. He activated the holodeck. The room transformed into a rocky landscape with scattered obstacles. The environment will be set to 1.2 Earth gravity, 15% oxygen, and a temperature of 85 degrees Fahrenheit. This represents a moderately challenging environment. Jake and Maria looked around at the setup. To them, it looked like a basic obstacle course. Students will need to navigate through various challenges, Zixtar continued, climbing barriers, crossing narrow bridges, lifting objects, and completing a short run. Please put on your protective gear. The alien students rushed to equipment stations, grabbing respiratory aids, gravity dampeners, and cooling units. Jake and Maria stood there in their regular clothes. Humans, Zixtar called out urgently. Why are you not preparing your equipment? We're fine, Jake said. Fine, Zixtar's voice cracked. Young beings, you will die. The gravity alone will crush your fragile bones. Sir, Maria said patiently, Earth's gravity is our normal, and this is actually less oxygen than what we breathe at high altitude. Impossible. You must wear protective gear. Other students were watching now, some shaking their heads sadly. They believed the humans were about to get hurt badly. Tell you what, Jake said. Let us try without gear first. If we have trouble, we'll put some on. Zixtar's forearms waved frantically. I cannot allow you to risk your lives. How about we start, and you can stop us if anything goes wrong, Maria suggested. The instructor hesitated, then activated a medical scanner focused on the humans. Fine, but I am monitoring your vital signs constantly. The moment I see distress, you stop immediately. Fair enough, Jake agreed. The simulation began. The gravity increased slightly, the air became thinner, and the temperature rose. Immediately, most alien students began struggling. Cathara could barely lift her feet with the increased gravity. Grimak's movement slowed even more than usual. Several students sat down heavily, breathing through their respirators. Jake and Maria barely noticed the change. It's like a warm day in Denver, Maria commented. They approached the first obstacle, a 3-meter-high barrier that had to be climbed. Cathara reached it first. Using her environmental suit's assistance systems, she struggled to pull herself up even with mechanical help. Jake simply grabbed the edge and pulled himself over. Maria followed, making it look easy. "Help!" Cathara called from halfway up the wall. Jake reached down and lifted her over the top, with one hand. Cathara's suit sensors started beeping rapidly. "Easy there," Maria said, helping Cathara down the other side. The next obstacle was a narrow beam 2 meters off the ground. Grimlock approached it with his support pod. He couldn't fit across the beam with all his equipment. "Let me help," Jake offered. He crossed the beam quickly, then returned. Together, he and Maria spotted Grimlock as he slowly made his way across without his pod. "Incredible," Zixtar muttered, watching the medical readings. "Their heart rates are barely elevated." The third challenge was lifting and moving 20-kilogram weights across a distance. Most alien students could barely budge the weights, even with their assistance gear. Maria picked up her weight like it was a light box. Jake did the same. They moved quickly across the course, then went back to help other students. "Form a buddy system," Maria suggested. "Work together to move the weights." As the instructor watched in amazement, the humans helped several alien students complete the challenge. The final test was a 500-meter run in the thin air. The alien students had spent so much energy on the previous challenges that many could barely walk. Jake and Maria jogged ahead, then turned back. "Come on," Jake called encouragingly. "You can do it." They ran alongside their struggling classmates, offering support and encouragement. When the exercise ended, most alien students collapsed in exhaustion. Many were being checked by medical staff. Jake and Maria weren't even breathing hard. Zixtar approached them, his 4 hands making confused gestures. "I don't understand. According to all our data, humans should be the first to need medical attention." "Sir," Jake said gently, "what kind of environment is Earth classified as?" "It's listed as a death world. Class 12. Extreme danger for most species." "Right," Maria said, "and we live there, without any of this gear, every day." Zixtar looked at the humans, then at the medical readings, then back at the humans. "You mean your gravity is really that high?" "Our gravity," Jake corrected, "is the baseline. Everything else is measured against Earth. And the oxygen levels you mention as extreme. That's camping at altitude on Earth," Maria finished. Cathara limped over, her environmental suit beeping softly. "Does this mean you live in conditions like this all the time?" "This?" Jake looked around. "This is actually pretty comfortable. It's like a nice spring day." "Spring?" asked Grimlock, still in his support pod. "Yeah, after winter when it's really cold. Then comes summer when it gets really hot." Several alien students fainted. "Young humans," Zixtar said slowly. "I believe I need to reassess this entire curriculum. Perhaps you don't need to learn basic survival." "We don't mind helping others learn, though," Maria offered. "And maybe," Jake added, "we could share some training tips from Earth." "Training tips?" Zixtar asked weakly. "Sure. Basic stuff. How to build endurance, strength training, adapting to temperature changes." The crystalline instructor sat down heavily on a rock. His chiming sounded confused and tired. "I've been teaching survival courses for 30 years, he said quietly. "I thought I knew what challenging conditions meant." "Different species, different normals," Maria said kindly. Cathara struggled out of her environmental suit. Could you really teach us how to be stronger?" "Of course," Jake said. "Everyone can get stronger with the right training." "But we're so different from you," Grimlock protested. "That just means we adapt the training to fit each species," Maria explained. Zixtar stood up slowly. "I think," he said, his voice filled with wonder, "that I have been teaching the wrong students." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "I've been trying to teach Deathworlders how to survive, when perhaps I should be learning from them." The other students gathered around, exhausted but interested. "Could you really show us how to be like you?" one asked. "We can't make you like us," Maria said, "but we can help you push your own limits, safely." And maybe, Jake added with a grin, we could show you what we consider a real challenge sometime. Zixtar looked nervous. What do you mean? Well, this was the basic level, right? What's the advanced course like? The instructor's crystalline face somehow managed to look pale. I'm not sure that would be wise. Come on, Maria encouraged. We're here to learn about each other. Show us what you think is really dangerous. Tomorrow, Zixtar said weakly. Tomorrow we'll try the intermediate level, but I'm changing the medical monitoring and adding more safety protocols. Fair enough, Jake agreed. As the students filed out of the holodeck, the aliens were talking excitedly among themselves. The humans had shown them something they never thought possible, that with the right mindset and a bit of help, they could do more than they believed. Zixtar stayed behind, staring at the obstacle course that had challenged his students so much, but hadn't even made the humans sweat. He pulled up Earth's environmental data again and started reading more carefully. By the time he left, his whole understanding of human physiology had changed, and he was very nervous about tomorrow's class. Later that day, Jake and Maria walked into their shared dormitory lounge. Every alien student from their class was waiting there. Word had spread throughout the academy. Well, this is unexpected, Jake said. We need to talk, Cathara announced. Her exoskeleton was still showing stress patterns from the test. Sure, Maria said, sitting down. What's up? We want to understand, Grimok said slowly. How are you possible? Jake and Maria looked at each other, confused. What do you mean? Jake asked. The faculty held an emergency meeting, Cathara explained. They requested complete environmental data on Earth. The results were shocking. Shocking how? Maria asked. Cathara held up a tablet. This shows Earth's atmospheric pressure variations, from 14.7 pounds per square inch at sea level to nearly 0 at high altitudes. Humans live at all these elevations, Grimok added, without protection. Yeah, Jake said slowly. That's normal for us. Normal? Several aliens exclaimed. Cathara scrolled through more data. Temperature ranges from minus 128 degrees to plus 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Extreme locations, Maria acknowledged. But people do live in those places. Natural disasters occur regularly, another student read from the tablet. Hurricanes with 150-mile-per-hour winds, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. And you just live with these? Grimok asked incredulously. We build better structures, Jake said. Early warning systems, emergency preparedness. But the predators, Cathara pointed to pictures on her screen. Creatures that hunt humans. Bears, sharks, snakes, spiders, Maria listed. Yeah, we share the planet with them. And the diseases. We developed medicine, Jake said simply. The room fell silent. Finally, Grimok spoke. You don't understand. According to galactic survival standards, Earth shouldn't have intelligent life. The environment is too hostile. But it does, Maria pointed out. That's impossible, Cathara said firmly. Our scientists proved that intelligence can only develop on stable worlds with minimal threats. Maybe your scientists were wrong, Jake suggested gently. No, several aliens said, together. Science doesn't work like that. Maria pulled out her own tablet. Want to see pictures from our hometowns? Sure, Cathara said hesitantly. Maria showed photos of Arizona. This is where I grew up. Summer temperatures regularly over 115 degrees. Rattlesnakes, scorpions, mountain lions. And you played outside? As a child, Grimok asked, horrified. Every day, Maria confirmed. Swimming, hiking, camping. Swimming? In the desert. We have pools. Jake pulled up his photos. This is Alaska. Winter temperatures below minus 50. Grizzly bears, moose, wolves. And you survived childhood there? I loved it, Jake said. Skiing, ice fishing, camping under the northern lights. The alien students passed the tablets around, each picture causing more gasps of horror. This is wildlife from Earth, Maria said, showing more photos. Alligators, great white sharks, tigers, lions. They all live near humans? Sometimes too. Near, Jake admitted. There are safety protocols for living with dangerous wildlife. Safety protocols, Cathara repeated weakly. For living with predators. Sure. Don't feed bears. Avoid swimming at dawn and dusk in shark areas. Check your boots for scorpions. Check your boots? Desert living, Maria explained. Stuff likes to hide in warm places. Grimlock was scrolling through more data. This says humans participate in activities called extreme sports, voluntarily placing themselves in danger for entertainment. Oh yeah, Jake said enthusiastically. Skydiving, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, base jumping. You throw yourselves out of aircraft for fun. It's amazing, Maria said, the feeling of flying. I once did a bungee jump off a 500-foot bridge, Jake added. 3 aliens fainted. There's more. Grimlock continued reading. Humans engage in physical combat sports, boxing, martial arts, wrestling. For exercise and competition, Jake confirmed. You hit each other for fun? Controlled environment, Maria explained. Rules. And safety equipment. But you still get hurt? Sometimes that's part of the sport. Cathara looked up from the tablet. I've been reading about human space exploration. You send people to space knowing it might kill them? All exploration has risks, Jake said, but the rewards are worth it. Rewards of dying? Rewards of discovery, of pushing boundaries, of learning what's possible. The room was quiet for a long moment. We don't understand you, Grimlock finally said. Any of you. What don't you understand? Maria asked. Why do you choose danger? Why do you seek out challenges? Why do you risk death for fun? Jake thought for a moment. I guess, because we can. Because overcoming challenges makes us stronger. Because pushing our limits helps us grow. But you could die, Cathara insisted. We could die crossing the street, Jake said. Life itself is dangerous, we've just learned to live with that. And thrive in it, Maria added. Another alien student spoke up. The faculty wants to completely redesign our survival curriculum, based on human methods. Good idea, Jake said. But we're scared, Cathara admitted. Your way of living seems insane to us. Start small, Maria suggested. We can help you build up gradually. Like what? Basic fitness training, learning to handle minor discomfort, building confidence. You'll teach us? Of course, Jake said. That's what classmates do. Even though we're so different? Especially because we're different, Maria said. We can learn from each other. The alien students looked at each other uncertainly. Will you promise not to push us too hard? Grimlock asked. Your idea of easy nearly killed us in class. We'll be careful, Jake promised. Everyone learns at their own pace. And no extreme sports, Cathara added quickly. Not until you're ready. Maria agreed with a grin. Slowly, the alien students began to relax. Some even smiled. Thank you, Cathara said softly, for staying behind during the emergency simulation, for helping us during the test, for not letting us quit. That's what friends do, Jake said simply. Friends, several aliens repeated thoughtfully. Yeah, Maria confirmed. Despite the differences, we're all here learning together. That evening, after the alien students had left, Jake and Maria sat alone in the lounge. Think they'll ever really understand? Maria asked. Maybe not completely, Jake said, but understanding isn't everything. Respect and friendship are more important. True. And it's kind of nice being the exotic ones for once. Jake laughed. Wait until they learn about human history, wars, revolutions, exploration of the ocean depths. Or human food, Maria added. Hot peppers that can blind you, pufferfish that can kill you. We eat things that can kill us for the taste? They looked at each other and burst out laughing. From the window, they could see alien students studying with renewed focus. Some were even attempting basic exercises Jake and Maria had suggested. You know what? Jake said. I think this cultural exchange thing is going to work out just fine. Better than fine, Maria agreed. We're all going to learn a lot from each other. Outside, the stars shone brightly. Among them, Earth rotated peacefully, continuing to produce the universe's most resilient species without even trying. And for the first time in galactic educational history, the most fragile students had become the teachers simply by being themselves.